Hello, welcome to NEOC's webinar. Uh, Recent cyber attacks highlight network vulnerabilities, ensuring enterprise security. My name is Nadeem Zahid. I'm with NEOC's Networks, and with me here is our speaker, Dr. Erdal Ozkaya. Dr. Erdal has an impressive tenure exceeding over about 25 years in IT and security. uh, he's our CISO at NEOX, and he's a distinguished figure in the global cybersecurity landscape, dedicating his and defending organizations from virtual perils. Serving as a CISO, as I said, um, he is at the vanguard crafting cybersecurity strategies and guiding the information security risk management for over a long period of time. Dr. Eska is zealous about navigating cybersecurity quandaries and propelling digital innovation across corporate realm and society at large. He's a well-known speaker. His extraordinary leadership and acumen have not gone unnoticed, um, garnering recognition as top 50 tech luminaries by IDC and CIO Online, and earning the prestigious title of Global Cybersecurity Influencer. He's also author of many books. So I'm very glad to present to you Dr. Ozkaya here as a speaker of today's webinar, and handing off to Dr. Ozkaya from here.
Thank you, Nadeem. It's always a pleasure to be here. All right, let's start. Can you make my screen full screen, please, Nadeem? Perfect. All right. Nadeem mentioned that I have many books, and today we are giving you already a free gift, a free ebook for everybody who joins. The link is there. You can just find it at NEOC's website. Go ahead and download it and enjoy reading it. Okay, let's start. The overlooked battlefield is the network. But why? We know that without TCP/IP, without that RG45 cable, without that wireless, without this wireless connections, we cannot even connect anywhere. But why are we going and doing the same mistake? Networks connect users, system, and data. As a result, network is the entry point for clients, for vendors, for threat actors. It's also the exit point for everybody. As we all know, the network is the backbone of enterprise security as it connects us to the world. Then, looking at network, I worked many years as CISO in a global bank, now at NEOX, before that in a cybersecurity company, before that in a security research company. I also worked as CISO advisor at Microsoft. And most of the time, CIOs, CISOs, network managers, they always overlook into this. They're like, network. This is the network team's responsibility. And sometimes there is some other issues like networks are dynamic, can be complex, and are prone to misconfigurations. As it is hard to connect, I'm pretty sure you heard that story that there is a backbone switch there since the first day of the company, and your company is like 30 years. It is working. Yes, it might be working. Yes, it might be connecting you to other places, but I'm pretty sure it's going to have some vulnerabilities that we're going to cover later. So, to be able to secure anything, we have to understand it. You cannot secure something that you don't see or that you don't know. But with that, we're coming to our next topic, the critical role of the network. So, just as a summary, network is more than just connectivity. As you all know, it's the foundation for everything. It transports sensitive data, hosts critical applications, and once it's compromised, it can cripple the entire organization. And as I said, it's like if you live in a high-rise building. Let's say you live in Dubai, in Burj Khalifa. For the ones that don't know, it's world's largest tower, more than 800 meters or close to 800 meters. Let's say you live in the top. You have two ways to get in. One, via helicopter. Two, via the front door. And if you do not monitor those two places, it means you are vulnerable for an attack. And this is usually a big problem. I'm not saying that. If you look at Verizon Data Breach Report, 34% of search and vulnerability exploitation, which out of the 34% involved 45% on breaches, unfortunately, was through network vulnerabilities, where either it was a unpatched firewall or lateral movement, which you didn't have the right tools to detect the movement. And as a result, the ransomware is spread in your organization. All right, why are network always overseen? First of all, networking is most of the time looked as plumbing. Hey, it's a plumbing issue. Our network is down. Let's go and fix the switch. It is not a direct security issue. Most of the security professionals still heavily rely on endpoint and application security. How do I know that? My previous role, I was a CISO in an endpoint cybersecurity company, which had more than 3,000 customers. And I saw this misconception where people were thinking just if they just buy that product or, excuse me, or another endpoint security product, it will secure the endpoint, which is correct. Your endpoint security might secure your endpoint, but what if there is a vulnerability in Windows or a vulnerability in the TCP/IP stack? How are you going to monitor those? Again, all the organizations, they have many legacy applications, legacy systems, and legacy means usually unpatched vulnerabilities. Remember the data breach report from Verizon? When we look at the team, as I said in the beginning, CISOs usually, good CISOs will always work with, will have a close alignment with network and security teams, as it is essential for resilience. But bad ones, or the ones they come from business and they are not hands-on, they can't oversee that. And again, please look at IBM data breach report, data cost report, sorry. Please look at Microsoft cyber defense report, digital defense report. Look at those third-party reports and see how organizations do get hacked. And this is usually what will give you an idea how you can protect your organization. And this is, to be honest, how I built the slide deck. It's really important that you are aware that security is a shared responsibility with cross-functional teams, with your vendors, as well as with your management. Okay, here are some cyber attacks which happened just in the last 2 years, which involve networking. Nadia, can we please? Yeah, thank you. I'm not going to go into details. Those are ransomware campaigns, and the main reason of those campaigns was network entry. Early this year, health sector, they had 158 incidents, and they were exploited over VPN. A top manufacturing company, Schneider Electric, again, this was early last year. They had 1.5 terabyte data breach through OT/IT network integration issues. Just this month, a couple of days ago, Marks and Spencer's had an issue. And unfortunately, network was the main distribution as it was used as a weapon to exfiltrate data. Loan Depot, again, they exposed 16.9 million customer data And unfortunately, it happened through a weak perimeter defenses. Is this all? No. Johnson controls, which happened in 2023, they had a huge impact on smart building network infrastructure. So sometimes network is the reason for ransomware. Sometimes network is the output. Network being down is the output of ransomware attacks. CISOs, the MGM hotel, which cost hundreds of $millions. Just imagine you go to casino, or just imagine you go to a holiday and your booking has disappeared because the hackers, the threat actors has put the network down. When we look at these vulnerabilities, you see VPN weaknesses, you see compromised credentials, you see initial lack of exposure of technology. So when we look at supply chain cloud, unfortunately, this is still a blind spot. Do you remember the movie transfer, which millions of organizations were affected, like New York Times, like many organizations here in US and Europe? It was a 0-day vulnerability at the software, and unfortunately, more than 500 organizations had an issue. As a result, data egress via compromised network links. When we look at third-party vendor breaches, like Fidelity Live, like Infosys, like McCamish, like Adidas, again, here the trust between both networks was exposed by hackers, or the most famous one, the SolarWinds attack. Remember, it was even one of the world's largest cybersecurity company were compromised through this network trust relationship. Snowflake is another example. I mean, I can sit down here and give you many more examples, from critical infrastructure to remote access to social engineering. You will see that they all have the same issues. This could be a state-sponsored cyber attack, or this could be a scripted, or this could be anyone else, but they use always the same tactics. They exploit outdated software. They go to dark web, purchase these credentials, and run brute force attacks on exposed services. They still use, as of June 2025, Sinotrack GPS devices were hacked this month. And still the reason was default password. Like, for the ones that follow me for the last 25 years, I remember when I first started in IT, or when YouTube was still new, you can still find those videos. I was talking about how to change the default passwords. And I was just randomly, back then I was young, of course, I was randomly going to some IP addresses and, via network scanning, use the default name administrator, use the default password as whatever the vendor had, and I was able to go in. There on YouTube, please go. I'm pretty sure you know Shodan. When Shodan was new, I mean, you can still use it via Shodan. It is still there. And look, just this month, today is the 12th, within this last 12 days, 2 organizations was hacked through the same reason. Sometimes we do overtrust our security products. And I keep saying that security is not a product, it's a process. If you don't understand the process, the product's not going to help you. Having more products is not going to make you secure. You need the right products. And sometimes you might be a privilege from like Beyond Trust. Beyond Trust is a really, really great vendor when it comes to privilege access management. But they were hacked from the same reason. So this can happen, and unfortunately, it is happening, as you can see right in front of you. And don't forget, all what I present here is public data. A few seconds ago, I mentioned social engineering. Look, social engineering is a bit harder to detect via any applications. An example, the latest Coinbase attack, which happened early last month in May 2025. Threat actors bribed some contractors to deploy their malware. Yes, here, most of your security policies were not going to help you, but you still needed some great networking products which could help you to show you this. As Harun has repeated, thank you, Harun. Everybody should keep in mind, security is not a product, it's a process. Thank you for putting this in chat, dear Harun. So, when we look at the root causes, I already mentioned a few of them, like Fortinet flaws. Fortinet is a great brand, but they had a vulnerability, which was called CVE since 2023, which allowed RCE, remote control, in clicking attacks. Misconfigurations, again, network services, especially the legacy ones, especially the ones they still use SMB1, especially the ones they still use clear passwords, are a big issue to network breaches. Weak authentication, but everybody knows about MFA. I'm not here to reteach you something that you know already. Use MFA, use MFA. You hear this in every conversation. But based on Verizon Data Breach Report, more than 30,000, they analyzed more than 30,000 networks, and unfortunately, around 30% of those were hacked. Again, Microsoft in the data breach report and the digital defense report state they had more than 680 million network scanned and more than 79 trillion. I might be wrong with the numbers. Please don't judge me. The numbers might change. Analyze signals, and when they look at the results, unfortunately, they still say the same thing. We do not follow the basics. Back to third-party risk. Supply chain attacks, lateral movement, all happens in the network. I keep asking this question. Thank you, by the way, dear LinkedIn user. I cannot see who you are, but you said it's a great presentation. But let's ask Jesse, let's ask Jasir, let's ask Syed Zubair. They are here live. I can see they wrote. When you look, did I tell anything new here? No, I know most of you. Thank you for watching. But when we look at those issues, they are not rocket science. They keep coming back. And this is because the lack of comprehensive third-party network risk assessment. This is because of insufficient network monitoring. This is because, like, a real example. I was in a government, I just stopped for a second not to mention which government entity it was. They were Ministry of Foreign Affairs, not US, okay, it's somewhere else. They had lots of endpoints. They were present in nearly every country in the world, and they were proud of using back then QRadar from IBM, which is a good SIEM. They're like, look, we have, I don't remember the numbers, we have like 10,000 signals every second, and they were showing me off. I'm like, look, it's not about having the logs. It's about finding the right issue in the logs. And when, back then I was working for Microsoft, when I gave a sinkhole IP address, which was set up by Microsoft to catch hackers, we found out that, unfortunately, there was network connections from that MFA to MFA customer to the sinkhole, which means they had someone inside already. And because they keep their, look, another example. Here is 2 pens. One is from, I don't know if you can see me, but probably no, you cannot. I have 2 pens in my hand. One of them is, which we gave away yesterday at Seacon, New Jersey conference. One of them is that very expensive Mont Blanc pen. If I keep them in a conference next to each other, Soon I'm gonna have my expensive pen gone, not a stolen, because it's away given for free, right? If I keep them next to each other. What I'm trying to say is, if you want to save your valuable assets, you have to separate it. You have to keep them in a different area, and this policy applies to networking as well. So you need to implement perimeter focused defenses. You have to implement microsegmentation. And while you do that, I really don't care if you have a firewall, if you have an EDR, MDR, XDR, if you have a WAF, you should have real-time packet inspection. And you have to be ready. How? You have to have an incident response policy which should state everything what you have, how you're gonna activate the buttons when things go wrong. Because once your network is down, everything is down, and this can cause some issues. What do I mean with that? Okay, I have to say that cybersecurity is not a product. Cybersecurity is a mindset. And in this mindset, you have to protect your organizations. So when I say monitor east-west traffic, network gurus will know that, but just in case you don't know, monitoring east-west traffic means observing and analyzing all the data flow within your organization's internal network. There is another terminology as well, as you all know, east-west traffic. What is the east-west traffic? East-west traffic is the data moving laterally between your devices, servers, applications, and virtual machines inside a network perimeter. So most of the attacks can be detected if you keep an eye on east-west traffic. East-west traffic will help you to secure your lateral movements. Not secure, but you will have more visibility in lateral movements. Remember my last 6 slides? They all had lateral movements. Monitoring your east-west traffic with the right product is going to help you to be more secure against your insider threats. Remember the Coinbase example? Even if you have an insider trying to do stuff, keep an eye on the door. The ransomware spreads usually will happen in east-west traffic. The blind spots are most of the time at east-west traffic. As a result, you should apply zero trust segmentation to those. You should prioritize packet level visibility. And remember my previous examples, you should integrate your network data into a SIEM. So, I don't know if it's a streaming issue, dear Jasir, but the team is there. They will tell you. So, here are some technical recommendations for you. What else can you do? Now, you should robust your IAM strategy. And this should be aligned with your network access. What was IAM? MFA. What was IAM? Strong password policies. What was IAM? Least privilege principle. What was IAM? NAC, the network access control. What was IAM? The UEBA, the user and entity behavior analytics. What was IAM? The impact of avoiding crisis. So basically, you having a robust IAM strategy, putting MFA, strong password, least privileges, network segmentation is going to make you immune against those kinds of attack. What else? We talked about network segmentation. You should definitely, like at your home, I'm pretty sure you have, these days, even a cheap wireless device has 2 networks, one for your home, one for your guest. Or when you go to a doctor, they have their own internal traffic and they have a guest traffic for their patients. They divide networks. Why are you not doing this in your work environment? You should implement firewalls, ACLs at each junction. And those junctions should be controlled between segments, and you should implement the default zero default deny, zero trust policy here. DMZ, again, the late 90s, early 2000s, that's the first thing which I was learning and teaching. Demilitarized zone. Strictly enforce all your external facing servers with no direct communication to your internal servers there. I mean, I hope you didn't hear this first time here. Your microsegmentation, remember my pen examples? If you keep your valuable assets next to your unvaluable assets, soon you're going to lose your valuable assets. Isolate your critical assets. Again, when you go to any government building, usually the government officials' offices are in a less risky place. Or if you look, most of the capital cities in governments are usually away from borders to secure that city. All this will limit the lateral movement post breach, which usually happens during a ransomware attack. Patching. I mean, by now you know that you can patch everything but human stability. No matter what you use, like we as human, we have patches. What is the patches? First we didn't know that when we were child, touching a hot cup will burn our hand. We did it once, our hand was burned, then we never touch that hot cup again, hopefully, So we learn and we keep learning. The first human, when we first find the fire, and the usage of fire today is different. So we keep learning. So does your phones, so does your routers, so does your technologies. Please patch. Please use products like Binaries, for example, to do vulnerability assessments. Have your third-party penetration testings. Always harden your network devices. Do update your firmwares. Again, the fourth recommendation will be advanced network threat detection and response. Implement a SIEM. Have your XDR, EDR, MDR. I don't care which letter you use, but have something good. Implement IDS, IPS. This will at least keep an eye in your network for known attacks. And more importantly, invest and implement, of course, to NDR. Because utilizing NDR, network detection response, will basically secure your network with the next level. Have threat intelligence, cyber threat intelligence products like Threatmon, for example, or have incident response plan. Putting all this will provide early warning of your network, your network activities, and it will enable rapid containment of network-based attacks. This is gonna improve your security. Remember, during the attacks, I talked about RC remote control attacks. I talked about VPN attacks. If you implement zero trust, if you use the right protocols with your VPNs, if you encrypt your data, if you implement DLP and have proper backup, then you will protect your crown jewels, you will secure your mobile workplace, and this should minimize the network-based data exploration, if not prevent. Last one, awareness. Remember, there is no patch for human superability, but you still can do continuous training. You should do phishing simulation, and as a C level, I don't care if it's CEO, COO, CIO, CISO, you name it. It's your job to foster a culture of security. It's your job to regularly do exercises. And if you do that, you will address the human factor. In other terms, you will build a human firewall, a defense layer that reduces susceptibility to network-based social engineering attacks. All right. Now, let's speak of how we can help as Neox networks. Now, do you remember I was talking about Fortinet CVE earlier in my slide? If you had an NDR, if that organization had an NDR that we provide, the NDR could detect the anomalies in network traffic, and the NDR could identify the exploitation attempts in real time. With packet directors, you could just centralize patch management visibility and ensure they're updated. And you can always request a demo. You will see it's coming up. For misconfiguration attack, you can use our product, which is called PacketAll. It will monitor network traffic for misconfigured services with customizable detection rules. So if you use PacketAll, I repeat, you can just see suspicious traffic, and this can help you to have a holistic view of your network topology and identify misconfiguration. How can we help on weak authentication credential theft? You can use PacketShack. PacketShack is one of our products which decrypts TLS SSL traffic, and this will help you to see what's happening in encrypted channels. And if you cannot decrypt the packet, it means there is something else happening in your network. This could give you early alarm. Using our NDR and integrating with your SIEM could just help you to find that network connection out of 10,000 logs to C2 channels. What else? For third-party risk, again, PacketAll will monitor the third-party traffic for anomalies. And based on Verizon Data Breach Report, 30% of all the breaches they analyzed was involving to that. So all what they had to do is use PacketAll. If you want to consolidate and filter third-party traffic for secure monitoring, we have a product called Neox Network Packet Broker. Packet Broker will help you to filter the traffic and minimize third-party attacks. If you want to fight against ransomware, look, everybody knows that you should use CrowdStrike, Microsoft, McAfee, XCTube, you name it. But don't forget, this is at the endpoint where usually most of the time the attack starts. But what about once you got the first infection? You need something to detect your network and the network traffic. And this is Clear NDR. It proactively detects ransomware patterns and enable rapid response. And when bad things hit the fan, use PacketAll, which provides forensic data for post-incident analysis. So here's a quick overview of our products. We are a hybrid cloud network visibility platform for IT and OT environments, and we focus on observability, security, and efficiency. What is observability? It is basically protecting what you cannot see, the blind spot. We are like the Neve signal in the cars, which, if there's a car in your shoulder side, the mirror will have a yellow sign, or the car will make some sound so you don't hit that blind spot, the car in the blind spot. And here is a mini case study. The scenario. Remember during my slide, I was talking about a New Jersey hospital hit by a Quilling ransomware due to an unpatched Fortinet device, the CV 2023. In this scenario, if the hospital, there was a ransomware, there was a hacker trying to attack a system, if they had the right product, they would know what was happening in your network. And during that, if they had packet O, for example, they would find that there was a encrypted traffic, and they could save 250 days because it took them 250 days to detect this attack. And this was a big challenge for them. As a result, that one entity encrypted most of their network, and they had to pay fines as well on top of it while they paid the ransomware as well. So, as I said, if they had packet owl, they could detect the ransomware patterns with real-time alerts. And you could just put those alerts into your SIEM. If they had packet shark will provide them visibility into encrypted traffic, identifying malicious payload. If they were using our NDR, they would have reduced detection time. And based on IBM, this is 15% of the cost of all cyber breaches. If they had packet director, they could just basically use patching and so on. The outcome. What is the outcome? They could basically prevent further breaches, minimize downtime, and enhance resilience. Here's another mini case study for you. Remember the insider threat in Coinbase or other? This is again a real example how they were hacked. The HR explanation happened. If they have next response, the packet tiger will capture the exact flows, and the IR team will pinpoint the attackers in minutes. The scenario: if there is a malware spreading in a flat network, having a tap, which is FPGA based, could basically detect anomalies, and you could just contain the attack before the mass infection. Look, I'm not even talking about your antivirus. I'm not even talking about your firewalls. All this means the hackers are already in. But having the right product, working with firewalls, antivirus, WAFs, you name it, could just minimize the attack vectors. That's why you should have intelligent network segmentation tools like Packet Owl, like something which can give you full packet capture capabilities. And tabs. So tabs are cheap. It's cheaper than your iPhone. Nadim, don't get angry if I'm giving the wrong pricing, but I really don't know how much they cost. Network tabs and packet brokers are a must to every network. And if you don't have a tab device in your network, trust me, doesn't matter how much security you have, you are in danger. Please reach out to us so we can help you to set up your tabs. Again, cheaper than your iPhone. So, I have like a few more minutes. Conclusion and call to action. Network health is security health. You should have a proper dashboard, and this should be shared across all teams. Unfortunately, one of the other issues that I see, teams, most of the time, they want to contain their own budget. They want to control their own environment. But one thing we keep forgetting is we are in the same boat. If a company gets hacked via endpoint security team, is it going to be in the news that they were hacked through endpoint, or is it going to be in the news as company X has been hacked? So please align with other teams, align on segmentation and patch cycles. Remember, the network is often the critical entry point and enabler in cyber attacks. And as a result, you should close the alignment between network and security teams. It is essential for effective defense. You need to have a proactive strategies to avoid crisis. We talked about IAM, we talked about microsegmentation, we talked about patching, we talked about NDR, data security. All these are important, but it's like, I keep saying that. Let's say you live in Manila, Philippines, which has, or even better, Jakarta in, I think they have the worst stuffing in the world, or in Istanbul, or in Los Angeles. those cities which has really terrible traffic. Let's say I am giving you a free helicopter so you can bypass the traffic. But if you don't know how to fly this helicopter, it means you cannot bypass traffic. You still need to understand how this device flies. So, in other words, having a solution that you don't know how to use is not going to make you secure. And looking at those data breach reports, we see that most of the organizations are not getting hacked because they don't have the right tool, is because they didn't utilize the tool in a way to minimize those attacks. As a result, you should continuously improve yourself and your team's knowledge. Last slide before I go. It is really, really, really important. Networks equals critical battleground. I keep saying this. If you ever watched my sessions, Chen Su said that, look, his book is in my table here. Sorry, the camera is hidden. To win a war, you have to know yourself. But this is not enough. To win a war, you have to also know the enemy, which is the threat actors, for example. But this is also not enough. To win a war, you have to know yourself, the enemy, and the attack battleground. Let's put this into today's terms. You have to know your knowledge, you have to know your team's knowledge, you have to know that you have to have knowledge on the network that you have, and you have to keep all this in mind while keeping an eye by cyber threat intelligence, how, for example, other organizations do get hacked, and you should then get lesson learns and verify if those attack is applicable in you. You don't have to do pen test every day, but running a signature-based network scan sometimes, or running a compromised security assessment can help you in those situations. It will give you visibility. It will give you a cornerstone of defense. Because if you don't evaluate detection capabilities now, unfortunately, the threat actors will. With this, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. My name is Dr. Ozkaya. I'm the fractional CISO here at Neox, and I'm really thankful for this opportunity. I see we had many people joined in. Thank you very much again. Nadim, the microphone is back with you.
All right, great. Thank you. So, thanks. That was a great conversation and timing as well. Just to remind everyone, we have a prize that we announced for actually pretty much every webinar from now onwards. We're going to actually give out a prize. So don't feel bad if you don't win this time. You will have many opportunities down the road. As in the chat, I announced our next upcoming webinar is on June 25th with our partner. And our topic is very much in line with what Dr. Ozkaya talked about today, and that is network detection and response. But that's going to be NDR, and specifically as STEMUS likes to refer to is clear NDR, which is Suricata-based joint solution that Neox and STEMUS has developed. You're welcome to go to our website, and under solutions, you're going to find clear NDR webpage and a lot more details, request demo, set up a conversation, or whatever you like. So don't miss that one. So today we are giving out a DJI drone, and we'll notify the lucky winner after we go through the registration list. So make sure if you're on the registration list, even if you're registered through our website or you're registered through LinkedIn, it doesn't matter. We'll have your contact and we'll reach out to the lucky winner. With that, let me open up the session for the Q&A. And so I'm going to put the cameras back on here. All right. So I think there were a couple of questions in the chat window. So we are on camera now. So let me go through that. once again and find out. There was, I think, at least one question I saw. And okay. Okay, so one question is from, hopefully I pronounced the name right, Jasser. And that is, are there any tools to identify cybersecurity benchmark followed by some framework?
There are many tools actually. They do that. The first one which came to my mind is Threatmon. It will do that for you, or Security Scorecard will do that to you. Besides that, there are many GRC tools that you can use. Like one of them is Skytel. There are many actually of them. You can simply Google it, and you will find many of them. And in my career, I gave some names already. I used some of them. Here at Neox, we use Neox. I use Binarize, for example. Binarize is also good. They do ongoing compromise assessment, and you can find it in my profile as well, or my YouTube. I have some videos, ongoing compromise assessment, and they also integrate to us in the network side, and they will give you clear visibility on what's happening.
Okay, great. Hopefully that answers the question. I don't see any more questions in the chat, but just to comment on one of the comments that was made by Aaron, that's a great comment. Everybody should keep in mind that security is not a product, it's the process. And Dr. Ozkaya also gave his views on it. I would also like to add that network visibility is also a practice and not a product. So all the products that you heard about from Dr. Ozkaya, they don't really, I would say, uh, uh, are useful to their full potential unless you create an orchestration, create a proactive visibility practice. So, for example, when you look at Neox network taps, or packet brokers, or packet capture appliances, or network intrusion detection devices, or network detection response solution, all those layers, you need to have an architecture in mind, what I like to call an overlay visibility architecture. It starts with identifying the strategic spots across east, west, and north, south traffic highways that you have between or inside your network, inside your data centers, cloud, public cloud, whatever. And then you start with first having the visibility, which is seeing what is happening. As we like to say, you can't control what you can't see. So that starts with always tabs. People undermine the role of tabs. They are super, super important. And once you start getting a photocopy, carbon copy of all those packets, then upstream you forward to our packet brokers, and from there you can go anywhere. But that is the fundamental layer. And then you also got we were Dr. Ozkaya, and we were at a global CISO forum a couple of days back, and at Gartner Security Summit, and we spoke with a lot of other security professionals, VP directors, CISOs. And we all agree that as a global risk management practice, or under these SOC workflows, you need to, and especially in regulatory industries like financial services case study I shared in the chat window, you got to have the packet saved over a certain period of time, because when bad stuff happens, it doesn't really give you time. That's not the time to think about network visibility. The time to think about network visibility was yesterday, if not today. So you want to put these equipment in your network ahead of the time, and it takes time to get used to them, to configure, to learn how to get the maximum potential out of that. So as they say, it's not a matter of if, but when an attack would happen. A persistent attacker could get through that you're ready, and you have all the data at your fingertips to contain, to respond to the incidents in time. With that, if no more questions, we would like to thank you for giving your valuable time to Neox, and we'll see you again in one of our webinars. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.